Ladies and gentlemen, Six Figs here from YouTube, and we've got a very important guest, William Laurent from Fastblocks, and we are going to be discussing various topics in the cryptocurrency industry. William, thank you for joining us today. If you could just give us a little brief description about what you got going on at Fastblocks.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle, and thank you for the kind introduction. So Fastblocks is Web3 news, Web3 stories on chain, 100% on the blockchain. So in that sense, it's very historic. It's built on the ICP blockchain. We have writers from literally all over the globe. Some of them have worked with me before, some of them are new, writing about anything Web3 related. So if it runs on a blockchain, we're going to cover it. That includes NFTs, play to earn gaming, blockchain tech. We get into politics, regulation, anything around Web3, right? So if you go to fastblocks.com, we're still building this site right now. We're just building it out. There's a lot of dev work to be done. There's a lot of just general aesthetic and branding things to be done, but we're getting there. And we will reach a point soon where we'll be able to NFT write or the work of writers on the platform, fractionalize that so that writers will be able to monetize. They'll be able to earn tips and monetize from the content on chain. So really, really cool. And as you know, being on ICP, it is truly decentralized, 100%. There's no AWS, nothing like that. So we can never be shut down. So super, super excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that description. And really, I'm liking what you guys have going on over there. And I will throw a link to fastblocks.com in the description and the pinned comment. But speaking of fastblocks.com, we've got a great article written by William on most NFT projects are going to zero. And I will also link to this article in the description and the pinned comment as well. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this whole speculation that most NFT projects are going to zero? Because quite frankly, I tend to agree with like 100% of the stuff you say in this.
Yeah, it's a very sort of gloomy, fuddish type of article, and it doesn't mean that I'm happy about it. But let's look at reality, right? So, and I was speaking more in the sense of generative collections. You know, I still think there's a lot of room in the NFT space for artists that are one of one artists, both doing art, photography, or digitizing the canvas art. So I'm speaking more towards the generative collections where you have 1,000, 10,000 or more, pieces that have been generated, whether they're monkeys or sushi or whatever. Look, we've reached a point where the market is just oversaturated, right? Forget about crypto winter, forget about all these things. It's similar. The analogy that I use a lot is I used to collect baseball cards, right? So back in I got into it in the 70s and I got into the 80s, and you only had one series, right? Which was the Topps, right? Where you open it, you get the gum, you get the trading cards. And then when monopoly was busted up, you had Donruss, you had Fleer, you had a bunch of other companies that got into that space. And what happened not even within a year is prices just on cards absolutely plummeted. And frankly, from that era of I think it was the early 80s on, the prices never recovered. Sure, you have some rookie cards and some things that are, Ricky Henderson, Tony Gwynn, those sort of OGs from that time are valuable, right? And those are, to make an analogy, that sort of would be the rarities, right, of what we have now, where the actual all-stars back then. But the market never recovered, and yes, Mickey Mantle from 1956 is still going to hold its value, but from the time that market saturation happened, everything changed. So I look at the blue chip projects now as the Bored Apes or Art Blocks or Meebits or some of those, especially things that are still coming out of Yuga Labs, that are coming out of Larva Labs. Will they hold their value? They might. It might keep going forever and ever. I don't think those CryptoPunks. I don't think they're going to zero, but a lot of these other projects that are coming out now, especially derivative projects, they might not go to zero, but they're never ever going to hold their floor the way that they used to be.
Mhm.
It's just there's too much noise. Everyone's jumped into the space. There's not enough collectors. There's been so many rug pulls. There's been disillusioned collectors. The art, more and more of the art just is not holding its is not aesthetically appealing. And no matter how much utility we throw at a lot of these things, I just don't see them being able to hold their floor prices that much. So in the article that you mentioned, yeah, I do list several collections that are showing no signs of slowing, that are having, still have incredible transaction volume right now, but those are few and far between. Some of the, and I will not reveal the name of some of the projects generative projects that I'm invested in, but my losses are probably 80 to 90% at this point. And I'm not sure that they'll ever recover. The community is strong. You have probably 20, 30,000 people in the Discord. It's not really going to matter. And that's the other thing too, is I think our model for these generative collections is absolutely broken, because look, we're busy guys, right? So we're both dads. We both have a lot of things that we do. We're not going to spend all our time grinding in the Discord to try and get on a whitelist. I mean, maybe we can hire somebody in the Philippines or somewhere like that to do that for us. But who has the time, frankly?
Right.
I think that whole model is just broken, and there needs to be a better way forward, and that will come. But
Yeah.
we're not there. And one disclaimer I should say is that I do say, even though the title of my piece is NFTs are going to zero, I am speaking more from OpenSea centered perspective, right? From a generative perspective and an OpenSea perspective. If I would have said in the title all the generative projects on OpenSea, we would have run out of room, and it wouldn't be as much clickbait, honestly.
Right. That's it is interesting. And you mentioned just the whole explosion of the NFT scene. And it really seems like, even if you do find this next cutting edge utility, it just sets the new standard for a bunch of other people to come on board and basically copy what you've done, and maybe kind of innovate it just a little bit better. And it just kind of seems like, you're right. These things just kind of die off and fall by the wayside quickly in most cases. And kind of to piggyback off that, the amount of NFT projects, like you mentioned, has just exploded. And I just couldn't help but to think, just looking back at just cryptocurrency in general, we're looking at, the top few dominant cryptocurrencies at the beginning: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. And now there's like 20,000, 30,000 different cryptocurrencies. So it's just, when we start to see this mass entrance of, a lot of the same type of NFT artwork and stuff like that, it just kind of murkies everything. Just drives that whole value down, just like that whole baseball card analogy you presented earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the NFT space too, to execute a decent NFT project, it's a ton of work, right? There's a ton of dev work. There's a ton of work that needs to be done on the metadata, on the rarities, et cetera, right? Forget about the marketing and promotion, all that, right? It's a ton of work. What surprised me when I started looking into it recently, if I wanted to create my own token, right, on say Ethereum blockchain or some other blockchain, I want to create a real token, it's not easy, but it's not that difficult. It's really not. You can bring a meme coin into market fairly easily without much infrastructure backing it.
Right, absolutely. I mean, really, we're all just kind of a YouTube video away from launching our own meme coin or NFT project.
Right.
Speaking of Ethereum and that whole ordeal, what's your thoughts on this whole upcoming merge? Basically terminating the whole proof of work standard, and now the transition to proof of stake. Is this something that you support, or are you? What are
Yeah,
your thoughts on this?
I think it's pretty big. I mean, I've been an Ethereum maxi for a while. Maybe
Mhm.
not a maxi, but a definite bull. And disclaimer: I do own some Ethereum, and nothing I say should be construed as financial advice. But look, from the perspective of a person that is using, casual user of Ethereum, where I do have some coins I'm invested in, where I do some staking. I just went yesterday and I staked a couple coins, and it was $6 in gas fees. And before it was 80, 90, over $100. And not only that, but the staking process, you have to first confirm the transaction. So that's a gasable event, and then do the actual staking. So back in the day, I'd be looking at over $100 just to stake not that many tokens. And yesterday it was $12.
Wow.
And I'm looking at this thinking, well, how can this not be a bullish sign for Ethereum? How can this not be, forget about the technology for a second, and the roadmap, just from a monetary perspective of, oh, this is not draining my MetaMask wallet just to do some simple things. Very, very enthusiastic right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope it kind of removes that little barrier of entry, especially, when you start looking at other uses on Ethereum, like just even sending somebody a free NFT or something, and then these gas fees are just like bonkers. There's a little bit of a barrier to entry there. So I hope that things just keep getting better and better for Ethereum as time goes on. And I mean, at the end of the day, I guess we're looking at less energy usage. About 99.5% is what this article states. And I think I did see Vitalik state that as well. So, I mean, hey, I'm all for it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
also a miner too. So I've got
Okay.
about 5 or 6 miners running full steam behind me. So
Cool. That's cool.
I'm
Okay.
just caught in the middle of it all.
Right.
Really, I'm for it, and I'm a little bit against it at the same time. The heat gives off, the energy. These miners give off heat, which isn't the best thing in the world. But at the same time, we're creating something from that energy. I don't know. At least here in the Midwest, I use my miners to heat my basement in the wintertime. So,
Yeah. There is a good. Speaking of fast blocks, there was an article published, I think, last week by one of our writers is in Canada, that talked about Bitcoin mining and using that energy for good, right? To be
mhm.
able to harness that energy, generate electricity or other things. So I think those solutions will come, right? I mean, the marketplace, especially the eco marketplace, or green marketplace, will catch up.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, I had my doubts whether this Ethereum merge was going to happen or not, especially after
Yeah.
the last few attempts at or the last few established dates that they wanted to do this conversion kind of fell through. I had my doubts, but then as like the days led up to the merge and the hours led up to the merge, I'm thinking, wow, this is really going to happen now.
Yeah, people got excited, right? The last 48 hours. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, let's move on to one other thing. And we're talking about Voyager here. As you guys know, Voyager Digital, which ran the Voyager app, loaned out about $650 million to Three Arrows Capital, which is now defunct and out of business, bankrupt. This in turn bankrupted Voyager. And now Voyager is holding auctions for its platform, so whoever the highest bidder, within the next few days to a week, I'd assume, will win the rights to Voyager and all that. I mean, this is just a super complicated situation because there are just a lot of people's livelihoods on the line and things like that. And we don't necessarily know how much crypto and assets and stuff like that we will see returned back to the original investors. And some of the side effects of this Voyager app thing, back on Twitter a couple months ago, as this was going down, I asked people impacted by this, send me an email, tell me how this has impacted you. And I've gotten emails, everything from losing a few $100 to a few $1,000 to people losing their houses, retirement savings, people considering harming themselves, just this whole gambit of terrible stuff. And I know you kind of had some experience dealing with this type of situation, but with another crypto exchange. Would you like to elaborate on?
Yeah, that's right. And before I do that, I would say if they are buying the assets of Voyager, I'm wondering what they really are going to get besides the Twitter handle and a few other specks of intellectual property, right? So there's an interesting analogy here. Yes, I was the last person to publicly interview Nuke Goldstein, who was one of the co-founders of Celsius. And we did an interview for a publication that I had worked for in the beginning of the year. And I've been following what's happening with Celsius pretty closely. And again, as you said, people lost everything. People lost fortunes, right? People lost all their money. And I'm not really very confident that people are going to recover maybe anything. I mean, they might get 10 or 20%, and that might not happen for many, many years in the future. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, the most recent fallout really that absolutely outraged me, and I took to Twitter to call this out. I did write about this for Fast Blocks, is the former CFO for Celsius, which was another person that I actually interviewed. You can find that interview on YouTube. I interviewed him at Bitcoin 2020 here in Miami. Celsius was going to retain him as they went through this, let's call it kindly, this liquidation process, because they wanted to retain his unique expertise in the field. And what they were going to pay him, and I don't recall exactly what it was. You can refer to my article. I think it was upwards of around $40,000 a month. Wow. And their justification was he has unique experience that we need. Funny thing is, both in the interview I did with him on camera and especially before camera, he confided that he was completely new to crypto. He came from the Wall Street world, right? I think he came from Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Had confided that this was all new to them. This is the first job that he never had to wear a tie. And then Celsius has the audacity and the temerity to line this guy's pockets and say, oh, he has unique things unique skills or whatever, however they word it, that we need to have. Well, that got shot down eventually because of public outrage. But I can tell you, I wasn't very, very happy with this, being somebody that knows people personally that lost a lot of money.
Yeah, that's maddening. That's absolutely incredible that they would even think of that. I could see if they wanted to retain this guy to help them through the process for free, right? Especially if he contributed to the downfall. But what is this guy doing, making 10K a week just to, it
was like, how can we further poke everybody in the eye with a sharp stick here? Let's do this.
Right. Let's kick them while they're down. Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. And we will link to that video of that interview that you did in the description and the pinned comment as well. I'm very interested in checking that out myself.
Well, with the caveat that it might not be publicly available, but okay. I do have it. Okay. I have it in my possession. I'm not sure that I have the intellectual property to do that, but let me think about that.
Okay. Yeah, if it's available to tag, we will do that. And let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about the crypto markets. And what are your thoughts on Bitcoin right now? I know things are looking like really crazy, especially since about last November. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think there might be a little bit of downside still. I'm not sure. I don't have the technical savvy that you do. I'm not really a chart person. I'm more of a market sentiment person. I'm still obviously bullish, right? I'm bullish
Mhm.
on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on Ethereum. I'm just not sure that we don't have a little bit more downside. And I think as far as us turning the corner in this crypto winter, uh, we might actually have to wait till winter. If that is November, December, that'd be great. It might not be until 2023 that things really start to turn the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always fun to kind of speculate on what's going on with Bitcoin and the whole crypto markets, um and really my quick thoughts, and this isn't, nothing we say in here on this show is financial or trading advice or anything like that. But for me, what I'm looking for is just this. I'm looking for this ABCDE corrective wave to the downside, and perhaps
Yep.
we might have that. Um, Looks like we got about 10 minutes left on the timer. One other thing that I just wanted to kind of illustrate, just historically looking back, is that anytime price action has gone underneath this thin green line, the 730-day moving average, historically, it's been a halfway decent time to buy the dip. And here we are seeing price underneath the 730-day moving average. But you can kind of see even down here, it is what it is. And then another thing I've also kind of always just kind of followed was whenever the 50-day moving average crosses the 730-day moving average, it kind of has signaled maybe a turnaround point in the bear market. Here you guys can see we might have had that up here. You guys can see 50 crossed the 730. It was off to the races. And here we have the 50. It'll be a couple of weeks before we hit the 730, in my opinion. But there might be a little bit of a shakeout here. And I'm hoping that we can see these prices, perk back to life, because it's been since, like last November. So we're coming up almost a year being in this nasty bear market. It is what it is. I've been clinging on the entire way myself. But yeah, we'll see what happens with all that, and hopefully we can get some decent crypto prices for whatever bags we're holding. I guess that's about it for this episode. If you guys are interested in following William, I'll go ahead and tag his socials in the pinned comment and description as well. He's got some great articles that he's written over the years. Phenomenal resource when it comes to learning about crypto through some of his articles and things like that. We would like to possibly make this type of segment a weekly thing, so let us know in the comments if that is something you guys want. Smash that like button and hit the subscribe button as well. William, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any parting thoughts?
No, thank you, Kyle. I really appreciate it. It's always great to talk to you, and I always learn something from you. So thanks again.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, William, for being here, and we'll see you guys all on the next video. Don't forget to stick around for the end screens. You can see other videos that we've done in the past. So we'll see you guys all on the next video.